It's Beer O'Clock, and this is the Beer O'Clock Show, where every week we partake in some light-hearted, beer-related banter. My name is Mark, and joining me from his luxurious country estate in the rolling green hills of Essex is my beer mentor, Steve. G'day, Steve. How's it going?
Hi, Mark. It's going well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing okay, thank you. And we need to apologise for missing the show last week, but that was because right before we were due to record, my power went out. And was out until about 1 o'clock in the morning, which was fun. But never mind, this kind of stuff happens in the wild and wacky world of internet radio.
It was kind of refreshing though in a way that there were a few people out there that actually missed
I
us
know, it's amazing.
last week. You know, people were actually devastated that
And,
there was going to be no beer o'clock on Friday night.
and not just people we know personally.
No, no, other people.
Actual internet people.
Yes, real people, not just our friends.
No. Oh dear, we got a very special show this week. We have a lager show. A lager show. Yes, a lager show.
Ah,
We have two very
lager.
special beers that have been sent to us kindly by the brewers, and we can't wait to tuck into them and give you our honest and heartfelt reviews of lager. But before that, Steve, what have
Yes.
you partaken in the last couple of weeks since we last spoke?
This could take a while.
Okay.
Um, because obviously it's been a couple of weeks since we last recorded. What I might do is just pick out the highlights,
Okay.
actually, because there's been a few beers. I the more loyal of our listeners might have noticed that there was a in place of the show last week. I put out one of our Wallowing in a Vat of our blogs,
hmm
which was all about a trip that I had to Tap East, which is a small craft brewery based in Westfield Shopping Centre in Stratford. So there were three beers that I drank in there, and if people want to hear about those, I suggest they read the blog rather than listen to the show. So I'm not going to talk about those. What I am going to talk about is first one was a beer simply called Blonde,
hmm
that was by the Isle of Arran Brewing Company, who are a Scottish brewing company.
I've had one
Um,
of their beers before.
have you?
Yeah, I think it was an IPA they put out.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this was randomly found this bottle of Arran Blonde in a Tesco in Great Yarmouth, which is pretty much the most easterly point in Great Britain,
Right.
after Lowestoft. But then, if we're being that anal about it,
Yeah.
the Tesco's was halfway between Lowestoft and Great Yarmouth. So, but I found it quite strange that I could find this beer in a Tesco there, but nowhere near. But it was lovely. It was a really really nice beer, really easy to drink. A blonde beer, but very reminiscent of lager,
Okay.
but not a lager. So that was quite nice.
hmm
What else did I have that really stood out? I had a Dark Star beer called The Art of Darkness, which was a black beer, which again really really nice craft taste to it, strong hops coming through all the way. That was an absolute winner for me. Um, I found myself in Weatherspoon as well, who are in the middle, I think, of another one of their beer festivals. So they had a great selection on. And I did a Red Racer India Pale Ale by the Central City Brewing Company, an American, or I think maybe a Canadian company. But again, an absolute stunner of a beer. Really sweet, hoppy flavours in that one. And then I think the real winner for me this weekend was a beer that I think you've had before, and I certainly know some of our listeners have had it. Betty Stoggs by Skinner's.
Yes.
Lovely
Mm.
beer. I can't believe I've not tried it before now.
Really
Uh,
nice. Yeah.
you could easily do a few of them
Oh yeah.
without even knowing it, I think.
hmm
So yeah, and thrown in there were a few random bottles of Innis and Gunn, the odd Adnams,
Just clearing out the beer
Phyllis,
shelf.
yeah, Williams Brothers, Harvestone, a
Oh.
couple of Badgers,
Oh.
yeah, just a real selection of beers over the last few weeks because it's been Easter as well. While I've been off, hasn't it? So
Yeah.
that's my excuse for drinking probably my own body weight in beer over the last fortnight. What about yourself?
I'm looking through my Untapped, and I think I may have failed to tap in some things over Easter, but never mind. But two standouts for me were ones that I actually picked up from Whole Foods, because the wife and I went into the Whole Foods at Piccadilly, and I found out that they actually have a beer selection there.
Oh.
And they have quite a few American beers.
Winning.
Foreign stuff, really. And the two that stood out for me was our old friend, the Brooklyn Brewery, because we both like the Brooklyn Lager. Or I do anyway. I'm not sure about you. Which you can get in Sainsbury's and stuff over here now.
Yeah, I think I've had it. It's okay. It's nothing to write home about.
I find it very drinkable, so I quite like it. But they have an East India Pale Ale. And, mate, you got to get one of these.
Yeah.
It's strong, it's spicy, very drinkable though. It's like, as an IPA lover, you would love it. And it doesn't taste like an American beer, but I would imagine.
I have to keep my eye out for that one.
Yeah, and the other one is an Aussie beer from the Cooper's Brewery. Now, you remember I gave you a bottle of the Cooper's Sparkling Ale?
Yes.
The red label one. They call it Cooper's Red back home. This was Cooper's Green, which is their original pale ale. Not as strong as the Brooklyn East India, obviously, because it's simply a pale ale. But very drinkable, very easy going, and I think you would like that as well. It's very much a session beer, that one.
Okay.
Whereas the East India Pale Ale by Brooklyn's is 6.9%. So it's quite a heavy one.
Yeah, it's a big beer.
But a little bottle, which is alright. Innis and Gunn style. So those are the two that stood out for me, and I had a J Per the other week as well, which is always nice.
Always nice to have a J Per.
Love a bit of J Per.
Yes.
So they're the only ones for me that I can think of. Oh, I had one of those. I keep forgetting the name of the brewery. It's the San Francisco brewery with the steamboat.
Oh, Anchor.
Anchor. Yeah,
Anchor Steam Brewery or something like that.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love their beers. They're really nice. Cute little bottles.
Quite chubby, aren't they? The bottles. They're short and fat.
They're like little Aussie stubby bottles. In Australia, you get these little bottles of beers that they call stubbies. You fancy a stubby, mate? And
one accent you can do.
That's one accent. G'day, sport. You fancy a stubby? Got a whole slab of them. Yeah. The only accent I can do, often by mistake. Oh dear. Anyway, moving swiftly on. We don't need any more accents from Mark. Although that is often the highlight. I still get requests for Geordie accents from one of my friends, Katie, who listens to the show.
Really?
Who's a Geordie herself, and she was appalled at my Geordie accent last time I tried one.
It was rather embarrassing. And we won't revisit it, but if people want to listen to it, go back to the first episode of season 2 where we review Newcastle Brown Ale, and you can enjoy Mark's accent there. And if you want to enjoy more of Mark's accents, go further back to season 1 where we review Brewdog, where he does an amazing Scottish accent as well.
Anyway, today's show could have some nice accents, but I'm not going to. Our two lagers. This is the crafted lager episode. Steve's been banging on Twitter about crafted lagers all week. It's a lead up to Lagerfest 2013.
Yes.
Which is this episode of the Beer O'Clock Show. And lager is obviously also a beer. We don't just do ales, mainly because we got sent lagers. That's the only reason we're doing lagers. The first one is an unmarked tin. It looks very mysterious, but that's because it's only really available on cask at the moment. But Innis and Gunn very kindly sent us some cans to review, and this is of the Innis and Gunn craft brewed lager. I think is the official name, Steve?
I think that's the name they're going with, the working title they're going with at the moment.
Right, so that's our first lager, and the other one is a beer from the Czech Republic.
Yes.
It is a gluten-free lager beer called Celia.
What a lovely, delightful name.
It's a very pretty name.
Yes.
Looking at the labels. I know. I thought that said vodka. It's not vodka. Panic over. It's Voda, which I'm assuming is some funny foreign name for water. Okay. Cool. That would have been interesting.
It would have been,
gluten-free.
yes.
It's gluten-free because there's nothing but vodka in it.
Gluten-free alcoholic water mixed with vodka. Yes.
So, I don't know why I got my bottle opener ready for the can of beer, but Never
Yep.
mind.
No, I've got a bottle opener ready for the bottle. But
Yep. So we're doing two beers tonight. We're doing half of each.
yep.
Although we might sneak in the gluten-free full one if it's any good. But this can's quite sizable. So we're gonna have the Innis Gunn first. So while we pour, Steve, do you have any more information from our good friends at Innis Gunn on this craft brewed lager?
I do. This is at the moment this is a bit of a trial for Innis and Gunn. They're stepping into what is clearly a new market for them. They've gone down the route of craft brewed lagers, and what we've been provided with is essentially, because it's only available on keg at the moment. What we've essentially been provided with is mini kegs.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been doing some reading on this in the week. Apparently, if I remember back to last season when we had the whole cans or not debate.
Yep.
But by all accounts, beer in a can is as close a replication to a kegged beer as you're going to get at home,
Mm-hmm.
unless you actually buy your mini kegs.
Yeah.
So what they've done is they've canned some of it up, and as you rightly say, it's in a plain aluminium can. It's silver. There's no branding on it. That's pretty much how hot off the press this stuff is. But it's, as I say, it's a new departure for them. They're basically, what they're trying to do is provide a stepping stone for people that maybe are standard lager drinkers, but are a bit scared by the craft beer market. And this is, they're kind of going to position this as a bit of a stepping stone between the two. So, light lager, want to try craft beer, try a craft lager. It's 4.8% at the moment, and according to the information that we've been sent, it's a crisp, refreshing Pilsner style lager with some Innis and Gunn differences. Well, I think we'll be the judge of that in a moment. They've brewed it using lager malts plus generous portion of naked golden oats, cultivated to grow without any husk, which means even more flavour and sweetness can be extracted from the grain during brewery. They then add super Styrian and Styrian Goldings hops to add a refreshing hopness. So what we should be experiencing here is a pale gold coloured beer, aromas of lemon zest, macadamia nuts, and sweet biscuity malt, tasting crisp Pilsner style and a nice smooth and refreshing finish. Obviously, I've just read that from directly from the information that they've sent us. That's not all from my knowledge, but they do have plans to, if I believe if this trial goes well, they're looking at expanding the range of craft brewed beers. To include things like an IPA, a Weiss beer, blonde beer, that sort of thing. So stuff that they wouldn't do in their normal range, in their normal oak aged range. So that's a little bit about the lager.
Okay.
We should probably thank them for sending it to us again.
Indeed. Yeah.
Once again sent to us by our friend Beer Sergeant, Adam Sargent. You can find him on Twitter at Beer Sergeant, who however, I've since found out in the last week he no longer works for Innis and Gunn. So
Did he nick this and just sent off?
I think it might have been maybe his last thing as he was going out the door.
Right. Okay.
So thanks to Adam
Yeah.
for the lager, and good luck with whatever it is you're doing now.
Thank
And
you, Mr. Sergeant. Much
if
appreciated.
whoever's taken over from Adam is listening, we like your beer. Send us more.
Yeah. So I've poured out half a can, or a little bit more than half a can of this craft brewed lager. It pours. Have you poured yours out yet, mate?
I'm just pouring it as
Okay.
as we speak.
It pours out very nice, pale yellow. It's quite bubbly. It came down with a nice thick white head.
Yeah.
It's settled quite well. The nose on it's very light. There's not much to the nose at all.
No, it's I'm not getting anything
Yeah,
other than kind of a beeriness.
it's very, very faint aroma to it.
Yeah.
But I'll wait till your head's settled a bit, and then we can tuck into it.
Some serious carbonation in there.
Yeah.
That's really, really going for it. As you say, really light colour.
Mm.
A very pale yellow colour, almost at the bottom of the glass, almost looking almost clear. It's so pale.
Yeah, it's like a light lemony yellow for me.
Yeah,
But yeah, it is a. I mean, yeah, it's clear all the way through. It's nice. It's nice looking.
yeah. Well, shall we
Anyway,
get into this?
yes, Les.
Yeah.
Chin chin.
Cheers. Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's a bit spicy around the edges.
Yep.
Middle of the palate, there's not much to it. In the middle of the palate. Saying that, I mean, it's very clean tasting.
Yeah, it's. I'm just finding it very sweet with
Mm.
a slight creamy aftertaste.
Yeah, it's
Almost.
very soft and yeah, soft and clean. I would say there's not much taste to it really.
No.
There's a little bit of spice to it, just around the back of the palate.
There's
But
a slight bitterness on the aftertaste. I mean, I've got this. I don't know about you, but I've got this cold, so
Yeah.
I've had it in the fridge. I've kind of treated it like a lager.
Mhm.
It's a lager. It's in a can, therefore it goes in the fridge.
Yeah.
I drink lots of it, and I want to fight. That's the sort of sort of approach you take with lager, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I've got it cold. I mean, most Innis and Gunn beers anyway, they recommend between 4 to 6 degrees anyway.
Yeah.
So that which is basically fridge temperature.
Now, if they're going for the Pilsner type variant of lager, did they say that in the documentation?
let's just have a look at what they've sent us. A crisp, refreshing Pilsner style
Right.
lager with some ING differences.
Okay. I don't see where the ING differences come into it. It
No.
tastes to me like a very standard lager, but without that. You know, the lagers that are popular in the UK, like your Stellas and your Kronenbergs and everything like that, that have the kind of, I don't know, there's more to it in the middle of the palate,
Yep.
whereas this kind of just washes over your tongue and then you get the bitterness at the side and at the back.
It's
There's not a
yeah.
lot to it, really. I mean, it's drinkable. I mean, it's easy going, but it's a bit watery.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with everything you're saying. There's not a lot to it. I mean, we know that they say with some Innis and Gunn differences now that the thing that stands out with Innis and Gunn beers is the way that with their standard beers they oak age them
Mm-hmm.
in barrels, and they then pick up the flavour of the barrels, and you get that on the nose, you get that on the palate, you get that on the aftertaste.
Yeah.
That's the Innis and Gunn difference for me.
Mm-hmm.
That this is just like obviously they've not done that with this because it's not been oak aged.
Mm-hmm.
It's been brewed as a lager, and it's just very very standard easy drinking lager.
Yeah.
Dare I say, it's almost shandy like in its
Yeah.
flavour.
It's that light and that sweet.
Yeah, it's got that lemony to it
Mm.
that you get with it when you put you put your lemonade in a lager, you get a shandy. It takes the edge off the lager and it brings the sweetness through. That's what it tastes like. It's not got for me. It's not got a craft beer feel. It's not got a craft beer aroma. There's no hops coming through. It's just a bit of a standard lager.
It's disappointing, really, considering how highly we rank the ING ales.
Yep.
I'm wondering if, well, it's either they've missed a trick in that they could have taken a Pilsner style lager and done something different with it, or they're trying to get away from the Innis and Gunn stereotype and move into another field and not be bottlenecked by, yeah, to coin a phrase, not be bottlenecked by what is expected of them based on. I mean, if you can imagine if they'd done an oak aged lager, that would have been really interesting.
Yeah.
But people would have thought, oh, Innis and Gunn are doing the old oak aged trick again.
Yeah.
You know, this is an attempt. You know, this isn't something that they're pushing out to the mass market yet. it's a trial for them. But do wonder if they've missed a trick, or if there's something that they need to work on with this, because there's nothing really special about it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I absolutely agree with everything that you're saying there. Um, I, there's it is a bulk standard lager, and if you think that what they're trying to do is to offer a transition point for people that are unsure as to whether they want try craft beers.
Hmm.
If you were a lager drinker and you walked in to a bar and you had your Stella, your Heineken, maybe your Amstel, and a few others on offer, and then you had your Innis and Gunn craft beer lager or craft lager sort of pump clip,
Yep.
what is it that would make you go for that?
Yeah.
Where's the attraction?
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know whether the oak aging process. I don't know whether that can be achieved with lager,
Yeah.
because lager's actually the name for the process, isn't it? Rather than the beer. The process of lagering is the cold storage of beer
Hmm.
to get the flavors. I don't know whether they could achieve that with the oak aging, and I don't know whether it would work with it either.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's not unnice or not nice. It's not a disgusting beer. It's just very very standard.
Yeah. I think that basically sums it up.
Yeah, and the more of it I drink, the kind of the less flavour I'm getting from it.
Yeah, I've kind of left mine now. I don't see getting much more from it.
Almost.
I mean, I had a pretty spicy dinner tonight. I had a stir fry, and that would, a lager goes all right with a stir fry,
Yeah.
but there's nothing there. It's a real shame.
I mean, for me, I'm going to make a comparison here.
Okay.
One of the beers I drank at the weekend, and this is again, it's a favourite beer of mine. It's by the Williams Brothers Breweries, and it's Caesar Augustus, which is a lager IPA hybrid. So it's a beer that they've put through the lagering process, but they've then added hops associated with IPA into that process, and what you basically get as a result of that is this, but with balls, because it's got that hoppiness on the aroma, it's got the hoppiness on the aftertaste, and I had a bottle of that on the weekend with a Mexican meal. That I cooked at home, and it just worked perfectly. This would I think if you had this with a spicy meal, it would be like drinking water
Yeah.
because it wouldn't do anything to contradict the spiciness of the food.
No. I agree 100%.
And that's kind of what you want a little bit if you're going down the route of specifically matching food and drink or food and beer. When you've got something spicy, you want something that's got a hoppy kick to it to balance those spices.
Or a kick of some sort. Doesn't even
Yeah.
need to be
Plus,
hopped.
it's really gassy.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next one now. I think we've said all we can about the Innocent Gun Craft Brewed Lager. The next one is, as we said, the gluten-free lager beer, a Czech-style pilsner from Celia. It's actually a Czech beer.
It is.
From the Zaloki Brewery? Yeah, that will do. Steve, you met these guys, or you met representatives from them
I did.
in the last week or so?
I'll give them a shout out. I met Nick and Martin from Celia. Met them in the Rake in Borough Market, which is the first time I've been there for a while, and it's always nice going back to the Rake. So met them in there because they kindly sent us some bottles.
Mm-hmm.
That they got in touch with us via Twitter. They sent us a couple of bottles. They were kind enough to give me another couple of bottles when I met them. Kind of wondering why they're giving so much of it away. Uh, have they not heard of profit margins? But anyway, and that they were speaking to me about the unique characteristics of the beer and where it comes from and the process that it goes through. Now, it's the background to it is it comes from a region in Czechoslovakia
Hmm.
that has a unique and protected brewing process from a rare craft traditional brewery with that have open fermentation at low temperatures that's matured for weeks, and that so their lagering takes place in tanks with no roofs on, basically. As opposed to the normal process that's in an enclosed tank. It's brewed in the heart of the prestigious Saz hop growing region. I'm not sure I've said that right. Sa.
I don't know.
Um, well, apparently, Saz hops are a noble variety of hops.
Okay.
Um, and they've been named after the Czech city of Zatek, which I think you mentioned earlier. The hops used exclusively to flavour beers, such as Czech Pilsners, and they, by all accounts, have a very distinctive flavour. The aroma we should be getting is mild, earthy, herbal, spicy. And also with the Saz hops, I mentioned that they were noble hops. So basically, what that means is that they are basically um, refers to a race of hops
Hmm.
that come from a specific region and have specific tendencies. So what the guys were saying to me, they were comparing it to your vineyards with wine. So only wine. Only wine that's brewed in vineyards where in Burgundy can be called Burgundy, and
Right.
it's the same with this. Because it's of where it's brewed, it's got the right to use the Saz hops name.
Okay.
So again, what we should be getting here again is another pilsner.
Hmm.
So it might be good to do a direct comparison to the Innis and Gunn that we've just tried. Malty aroma, initial sweetness of lingering bitterness, 4.5%. And I guess one of their um, key selling points is that it's gluten free. So, which means it's suitable for people that have gluten intolerance and vegans and um, people that just basically want to watch their watch what they're drinking and eating really. So that's a little bit of background on Celia. If you do want to have a little bit more of an investigation, you can check them out either on Twitter at Celia Lager or at their website www.celialager.co.uk. But we'll put all these links up on Facebook and Twitter so you can have a look at them.
Yeah. All right, mate. Let's get into it.
Yes, let's.
Okay.
After that talk, I need a bit.
You must be quite parched.
Yes, very much.
Oh, it's bubbly in the bottle. That's a good sign. Okay, much like the Innocent Gun, it's pouring very clear, very carbonated. Head not quite as big. It's
Yeah,
quite a small head, actually.
even paler than the Innis and Gunn, I would say.
Yeah.
Whoa.
A little bit more of a nose on it.
Yeah.
And I've got I've got a normal, a standard pint glass, so the top's quite open. So maybe I'm losing a lot. I don't know. Oh yeah,
I've got
it's kind
got
of
this.
got that slightly European nose to it, hasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
The
And I
wheaty.
think that's what just mentioning the Innis and Gunn again. I think that's what that missed.
Yeah.
As a pilsner, I've always found in the past that pilsners have got quite a distinctive taste and a distinctive aroma to them, and that didn't have it. And I know
It
it's
didn't have taste. It didn't have aroma.
no, I know it's not advertising itself as a pilsner, but its marketing material says it's pilsner
Yeah.
style, so you would expect that.
Mhm. Yeah. This has. I've gone on before how I don't like wheat beers, but I find that European beers often have the same, to my limited palate, that kind of wheat beerish aroma to them, even if they don't taste like wheat beers once you start drinking them.
Yep.
This is kind of has that slight European smell to it. But anyway, shall we get into it, mate?
Yeah, let's
Or,
give this one a go. I think
right.
I think enough time has passed between the Innis and Gunn washing over my taste buds.
Mm. Okay. Now this is
Let's do.
more interesting than the Innis and Gunn for sure.
Yeah,
There's taste there, Stephen.
there's flavour there. Two things that were missing in
Mm.
large quantities from the Innis and Gunn.
It's a full body flavour, a full mouth flavour for one thing. It doesn't race to hide itself around the edges of your tongue. I'm getting a full mouth sparkleness or something.
Yeah, it's more reminiscent of some of the beers that we've drunk.
Mm.
It's giving you a little bit more
Yeah.
from it. Um, Interestingly, when I met the guys last week, they said it's not a very gassy beer. It's not very fizzy. You can really enjoy it with a meal. Hmm. Well, my
Bollocks.
glass disagrees.
Yeah. My glass has serious gas at the moment.
Yeah, this is going nuts in the glass. I'm not finding it that smooth. Um,
No, it's definitely it's one thing that Innocent Gun had for it was very smooth tasting. This
yes.
isn't. I don't know. You can feel the bubbles when you drink it. It's like a fizzy beer. I mean, it is a fizzy beer. It's a lager, but you get that fizziness sensation from it.
Yeah.
Um,
I know we don't necessarily like to do direct comparisons, and that's always quite difficult when we're doing two beers on one show.
mhm.
But if it's a nice beer, it's certainly again not unnice. It's tasty. It's got some flavour to it. But I'm almost thinking that if we had a combination of the two, we would have damn near the perfect beer. So the smoothness of the Innis and Gunn, or the perfect lager, maybe, the smoothness that the Innis and Gunn offered, and the taste and the flavour of this together would make a great combination. Now, I'm not about to pour the remnants of the two into one to see if that works because I know that it's not going to work. But
No,
um, I think that would work. But I want to make sure that we give this its dues as well and review this on its merits rather than keep referring it
yeah.
back to, and comparing it to the Innis and Gunn.
Mhm.
But it's a nice beer. I mean, I could certainly have a couple of these. I think quite easily.
Yeah. If you were in a pub that didn't have any ale or only had certain varieties of ale that we have besmirched a number of times on the show, and they had this in the fridges, I would say give it a go.
Yeah.
It's certainly better than Budweiser.
Would you opt for this over Nuki Brown?
Yes.
Ah, interesting.
I wasn't that keen on Yuki Brown
No
anyway.
hesitation there whatsoever. Going back to your lager roots, clearly there's still work to be done here.
I'll tell you what, I haven't drunk lager out of choice
This
since about June last year.
is only when
Um,
your arm was bent.
it's only when it's the only option available and I fancied having a drink. If there was decent beer on, I wouldn't drink this.
No,
But if it was between this and something like Budweiser or Beck's or Stella, I would take this.
the thing that really stood out for me was, as I say, when I met with the guys last week, I thought going into that meeting, and I'm going to be honest, and I know they're probably going to listen to this, and I told them that I'd be honest when I met them. I thought going into the meeting, all they were going to do was to bang on about the fact that it was gluten free,
Yeah.
but they didn't. What they spoke about was the Saz hops and the region and the heritage and all of that, and it's almost like that. It's got the gluten free label,
Hmm.
but the what they seemed really passionate about was the history. Now, for me, you look at the bottle and you don't get that. What you get, and I'm going to be honest, you get a bottle of lager that you found on a shelf in Aldi's.
Yeah.
It looks cheap. The label just looks. There's nothing. What is going to attract me to that it's in a fridge with 5 or 6 or even more than that these days, bottled lagers, what is it that's going to draw me to the Celia?
Probably the fact you've never heard of it before, so you fancy giving it a go.
Yeah, possibly.
But being brutally honest, it's not a standout drink. But it's also, I don't know, there's some lagers, like, I mean, Stella, for example, where you can feel the social unrest when you drink it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You feel like going to a festival and punching someone when you have a pint of
Pro
Stella.
Predominantly the wife.
I wasn't going to say that.
I'll say
And
it
then,
for you. There you go.
and then you have,
By this point, everyone's thinking it. Everyone's like, "Come on, you're talking about Stella. You haven't mentioned wife beater."
um, and you know, I mean, my favourite lager was always Kronenberg, mainly because it had some taste to it and it was inoffensive and wasn't too strong. And I would put this just under Kronenberg, I think.
Okay.
It's definitely drinkable. But it's a lager. It's yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
It's a decent lager. I'll say
It
that
is.
much. It's not a surprising lager. It's not an astounding lager. It's not a craft lager.
No, there's nothing stand out
No.
about it.
It's a good doable lager.
Again, gas.
Yes.
Yeah. There's like you say, there's nothing there to distinguish it. I mean, if you want to make another comparison, I mean, I'd say that if I had to choose a favourite lager, I would probably go for Becksphere because I find that quite an easy pint to drink, and quite refreshing. But I also found when I did the Samuel Adams Boston Lager, is it? That I found that really nice because the one thing that you could get from that, what you don't get from 95% of other lagers, is hops. And for me, these days, it's all about the hops.
Yeah.
And you just don't get that with this. It's like I say, it's a standard lager.
Mhm. Yeah.
Drink two or three of them, and you could literally be drinking anything.
Yeah. I've drunk half of it, and I could literally be drinking anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not drinking anymore because I'm done with it because I can feel the gas there.
Yeah. I've got
It's not a pleasant feeling.
I didn't pour out the whole bottle, and I've probably got about one mouthful full left in the glass, which I will do out of principle. But you know, I think if this, you know, if you're in the market, if gluten free is your thing, then by all means, give it a go. But for me, um, tonight hasn't been one of the most successful shows in
No.
terms of a taste festival, because there's just nothing there, and I think that's why I moved away from lager in the first place because I was just getting fed up with drinking gassy alcohol.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's our two two lagers review. We had the Innis and Gunn craft brewed lager and the Celia gluten-free lager beer. For me, the Celia wins. Like
Yeah,
I
I think
said,
if we had to pitch them against each other,
yeah,
that I'd pick the Celia over the Innis and Gunn.
yeah, it's a very drinkable lager. I mean, if you have gluten intolerance and you want to get fucked up, buy a case of Celia lager beer. There you go. That's my selling point. You should put that on the adverts.
I love that. What
Oh,
is it? Almost what more is there to say
exactly.
after that point? I mean, it would have been nice to, you know, on our what I feel is probably going to be our one and only ever lager special.
Hmm.
It maybe would have been nice to have maybe done three or four, but I don't. You would have coped with that and made some other comparisons.
What we
But
should do is a Badger Ales night where we do the entire range in one night.
that would quite literally kill us, I think. Um, and I'm not doing that thing that we reviewed last year, the Poacher's Choice. I'm not doing, never drinking that again.
hell no. The
No,
Jameson beer.
yes,
Oh
that was
God.
awful.
Yeah.
But I would encourage our listeners to certainly for the next few days after you've listened to the show, let us know if you've had any craft lagers that stand out more than these two do, and let us know your thoughts. That's kind of our theme for this week is craft lager. I mean, I'm going to throw another one in there actually while I'm on a roll. Shellion. I've spoken about it before by Harvestoon. That is an amazing craft lager. You can either get the original version, which is the Harvestoon Shellion, or you can go into Sainsbury's and they do a handcrafted Scottish craft lager, which is essentially Harvestoon Shellion in a bottle that
Okay.
they've made for Sainsbury's. That would be my recommendation. If you want a craft lager, try that or the Williams Brothers Lager IPA hybrid, the Caesar Augustus. Interestingly, two Scottish breweries that really know how to do craft lager.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard you mention the Shellion before, but my local Sainsbury's don't do those kind of things.
Well, I was so torn when I was in Tap East last week. They had Shellion on tap. But I so wanted to try other beers that were there because I know Shellion.
Yeah.
So if you are ever in Westfield and you get bored of either shopping or ignorant shoppers, make your way to Tap East, which is right. It's right at the back of West. When I say the back of Westfield, you know what I mean. Because when you come into Westfield from the station end,
Mhm.
down near John Lewis and Waitrose, on the lower level in the food market, right in the corner by the doors. Get yourself down Tap East and try some of their beers.
Cool. I'm gonna have to go there. It's only a few stops from where I work.
Yeah, maybe we need to meet up there one night.
Maybe we do. Very
And,
easy to get home from there.
and yes, very easy for me. Yes.
Cool. All right, mate. Anything else you want to add? Do we have anything from Twitter?
Um. Oh, hang on. Yeah, we have been asking if there are any homebrewers out there that would be interested in coming on to the show and talking about what they're doing. To which we've had a couple of responses. So we'll follow that up and we'll see if we can do a homebrew special in a few weeks. Michael M at H_Doody got involved in the lager chat that we were having and was saying that the Brewdog 77 lager is quite nice, although he was rather drunk when he tried it. So that's all that's been going on from Twitter in these last couple of weeks. Number one fan's been all over it, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from him at the end of the show.
Yep.
With yeah, that's that really. I suppose the only other thing I wanted to mention was going to do this last week, and it would have been more relevant time-wise, but I'll do it now anyway. Just to follow up on, we were talking about the Brewdog mash tag
Yes. Yes.
they
Yes.
were doing.
Mhm.
That's now complete,
Okay.
and what they are brewing as a result is an American brown ale, 7.5% ABV, featuring New Zealand hops that has been brewed with hazelnuts and oak chips and will have the name Mash Tag, unsurprisingly. Now, all of those various elements were voted for by Twitter. So it's still being billed as kind of the world's first Twitter beer. I've had a bit of to-ing and fro-ing with Brewdog, asking them when it might be available and when we might be able to review it on the show. And they said the wheels are in motion, but it'll be a while yet. So watch this space, I guess, in
Yeah.
in in terms for a review of the mash tag when it becomes available.
Cool. And one other shout out on Twitter to Ali Cassidy, who tweeted us saying that she's just taken over the Black Bull Matfin in Northumberland, where their
Yeah,
Willem Brewery Ale are going down a storm. So if you're in Northumberland and fancy going to a pub, they've tweeted us, so they must be good. So
exactly.
go check out the Black Bull Matfin. There you go.
And just to I suppose to just encourage our listeners, just to when we do tweet about new shows and things we're doing, please just give us a retweet, because it helps us in reaching a wider audience, and we're still open to having people come onto the show and talk to us and send in your recordings and all that sort of thing. I'm sure you get bored of the sound of our voices week after week. And if you'd much rather hear your own, I'm sure we would as well.
Yeah, and drop us a review or a rating on iTunes. And if you listen to us on Stitcher, give us a little thumbs up, because it does help with our rating on there as well. Right, that's it for this week. Thank you very much, Steve. As always, we'll be back next week with an ale, as yet undecided, as always.
That's the new twist to season 2, isn't it? We're not going to tell you what we're doing.
No planning whatsoever.
Until it gets there. Yeah.
So until then, thanks, mate.
Yeah, you too, mate. Have a great week.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is the live report from number one fan at Stath 79. Here we are in Hove, having a nice evening in. We've had a nice meal, nice burger, a bit of salad, lovely. And we're now trying sampling a Samuel Smith's organic cherry fruit beer. We're moving on to fruit beers. Thought it'd make a nice dessert. 5.1%, comes in a 355ml bottle. Lovely label. Don't get fooled though, because the label does not say everything about the beer, as you well know. So I'm here with alcohol enthusiast Harry, who's going to provide his expert opinion, and Jess, who is also an alcohol enthusiast in a different way. So we're going to talk about the beer and move from there. So we've had a bottle, very nice. Harry, can you give me your thoughts on the beer, please?
I can. I think it's got a really strong cherry nose. It's almost overpoweringly cherry. And then initially, like a really nice cherry sweetness. And then it finishes out with, I suppose, like a malty kind of finish. It's a very interesting cherry beer. Of the ones available, I think it's one of the better ones. It's got a nice ABV. And yeah, I'd have another.
Cheers, Harry. Insightful as ever, knowledgeable, to the point, and knows what he's talking about, unlike myself. And now we're going to move over to number 2 fan, Jess, who's going to give her insight on the cherry beer. Jess.
Well, really, I'll just give the female opinion here. I just kind of go, it's pretty sweet. It smells very nice. It's a little bit like a Bakewell tart in a glass. So it all works very well.
Bakewell tart in a glass, there we go. And that is exactly what we're going to talk it as. Top drawer, Bakewell tart in a glass, fancy a dessert beer, there you go. Over and out, number 1 fan.